Right. Thank you very much for this. We're excited to be bringing you this webinar on how to invest and trade in US listed companies. It would be just good. I think it was just good just to hear what people of you experience. When we advertised this this webinar, a lot of people say to us, a lot of people thought it was not really possible and that you can actually, right? I think a lot of people saying it's not possible that you could actually invest in US stocks from Zimbabwe. So I think that's what this webinar is obviously trying to help us, and hopefully as we go through, you guys can benefit immensely in terms of this webinar. Right, so that's what we're going to cover in terms of introduction. My name is Elles Mukunyadze. I am the founder of Elles Trading Academy, and I also do trading myself. So what I'm going to be talking about today, it's not something that I'm just theoretical, but it's ask any questions. If you've got any questions, if you've got any, just put them in the chat box. We'll be able to respond. I will be able to respond to those questions even as we go. Right. So let's just get into the presentation. So what I'm going to cover this afternoon for this lunch hour presentation is number one. I'm going to cover in terms of why investment in trading skills are a must. So this is particularly important to say why is investing in trading skills a must, especially in the time that we are in. Then we're also going to cover the overview of the stock market, and then I'm also going to cover what you need for you to get started, as well as how to actually do it. So the practical steps in which you actually do it. I'm also going to cover, I think in the presentation, the need for you to get a broker. And I'm also going to cover some of the very important aspects which are essential for the broker. And then I'm also going to cover practical aspects on how you actually deposit money when you want to invest, as well as what you need to do if you want to withdraw that money. So that's sort of like what we want to cover even as we go through this webinar. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to put the questions in the chat box. We'll have a question and answer session right at the end. So we will be able to respond to any questions at the end. So feel free to ask any questions. I'll be able to respond. Like I said when we started, this is not something that I'm presenting from something I read or something that is based on theory, but I'm actually presenting because I actually do these things on a daily basis. So I'll try as much as I can to be as practical as possible in order to point you guys in the right direction. So I hope that after this presentation, some of the questions that you've heard are answered. A lot of people have got a lot of misconceptions when you are investing, when you want to invest or trade in the stock market in the US, and I'm going to cover some of those misconceptions. In fact, one thing that I hope will be able to demonstrate clearly to you is that at the end of this presentation, you then realize that it's actually not as hard as some of you thought it is when it comes to investing on the stock market. Right. So I think for me, it's when you want to be involved in stocks, when you want to trade or you want to be involved in stocks, one thing that I want to emphasize as I start is there are three that should be in your mindset. So three things that should be part of your mindset. Number one, this game, ladies and gentlemen, is a long-term game. So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme when you talk about involved in stocks. So this is regardless of whether you're talking about Zimbabwean stocks, you're talking about US stocks, we're just talking about stocks in general. It's a long-term game. Your involvement, you need to be thinking on a longer term horizon. So as you're starting here, stop thinking about, look, I want to make money in next week, I want to make money in the next month or so, and begin to have a longer term horizon when you get into this market. So long-term thinking, if you're going to be successful in the stock market, is very important. The returns are there, the returns are huge, but you have to patiently wait out the returns. So that's number one. Number two, which is also very important for me, is issue around saving habits. Okay. So one of the things that a lot of people, they've said to me, look, for me to get started in the stock market, I need to have lots of money. I need to be able to invest $1,000. I need to be able to invest $10,000. And one of the things that I'm going to do in this presentation is to demystify that, actually to let you know that you don't need lots of money for you to get started. But if you are going to have a huge difference in your wealth, it's important to build a habit where you are constantly putting money in the stock market. So for example, if you decide that, you know what, I want to be putting $50, I want to start with $50, commit to say, I'm going to do that process regularly. So it could be every month, it could be every week, it could be, every quarter, depending on a regularity that you choose. So this allows you not so it's not about, look, I get a windfall, $10,000 and I put it in the stock market. No, but it's about regularly putting money in the stock market. And this is one of the things that we're trying to encourage people to do, that as you're putting money, consistently, over time, you begin to see the exponential growth that's going to happen to your investment. So you should be willing to be putting money out. Don't consume everything that you get. So that's a very important, that's very important there. Then the third thing is the investment skill. So the investment skill allows you to take advantage of the compounding power when you are able to get a return on your money. And putting money in the stock market allows you to reap the benefits of investment skill. And I just want to demonstrate that. Right now, just to show you how investment skills can actually help in that sort of regard. So somebody said earning money is easy. And I know most of us here, we've got different ways in which we earn money, but saving is hard. But then someone says saving is even harder. And I believe that the skill to save is becoming more and more important. The skill to invest, rather, it's becoming more and more important. And that is one of the objectives why we are running at this particular webinar. So I've done this slide here just to show you why it is important, why the investment skill is a necessary tool in this day and age. Okay, so I want to show you this. If you decide to say, I want to put aside $100 every month, and you start over the next year. So just forgive me here. It's supposed to be reading. One, right? So if you decide that you want to save $100 per month, and if you like a lot of Zimbabweans, what they're doing now, you put that money under the pillow, and they're just accumulating that money. After a year, that $100 would be $1,200. After 5 years of consistently putting $100 under the pillow, that money will be $6,000. After 10 years, that money will be $12,000. And after 15 years, that money would be $18,000. So there's really nothing to write home about when you're just able to save. But I want to show you that if you learn how to invest the money you're earning, you are able to put compounding power in your earnings, okay? So the same $100, you're able to invest it, let's say on the stock market, and aim for an average return of 5% every month. After a year, it would be $1,600. After 5 years, it will be $35,400. You're investing $100 every month for 5 years. What you'll have is $35,400. After 10 years, $100 invested every month at 5% interest or return per month will give you 700,000 US dollars a year. And if you're patient enough and you keep it for 15 years, you'll be worth 13 million. Look, guys, this is how easy and simple it is for you to become wealthy. Number one, you need to have a habit in which you're just putting small amounts of money aside. But just saving that money, just putting it under the pillow, putting it in the bank is not enough. You need to learn how you can effectively invest that money and get a return. And you have demonstrated that if you're able to target 5% per month over 10 years, you'll be $700,000 rich. And I know some of you are still very young. Some of you are in your 30s, some maybe in the 40s, but you can do 10 years. Some of you, 10 years is okay. You can wait out your money for 10 years and it will make a huge difference in your life. You're probably thinking, why didn't I start this thing 10 years ago? So what we're talking about today is we talk about how to participate in the stock market. I tell you what, we are living in a time where the things that we're able to do today, people were not able to do it 15 years ago. People were not able to do it 10 years ago. But it's not possible because of technology. Now your options are broader. In the past, people just think, look, if I want to make money, I need to put my money at Old Mutual, I need to put my money at Zimnat and those asset management companies that we have. And they would, they didn't have, the options were so limited. The options were so limited. But right now, I'm saying from Zimbabwe, from the comfort of your home, you can actually participate in the global financial markets. So when you talk about stocks, this is just one instrument out of many that you can participate in and begin to put your money in. And like I said, it doesn't take, it's not as hard as it used to be. And we're going to demonstrate that as we go through this webinar. But it takes you the right attitude to say, I want to learn how to do it. I want to participate in the market in terms of how to do it. And like I said, 5% per month is actually doable with some of the instruments that we're beginning to see. So that skill is essential. I know some of you have spent years learning to be lawyers, to be doctors, to be accountants, but it's important that you also take time to learn how to invest the money that you're making. And can you see this can have a fundamental effect on how you as an individual will change your life. So that's the slide is just an important slide, which I just thought I should just share with you even as we get started. So so we're talking about the US stock market, and this webinar is really about introducing you to the US stock market. You have a number of exchanges in the US market, but there are two that are worth talking about. So you've got the New York Stock Exchange, which is the largest stock exchange in the world, with 2,700 companies listed there. That is quite huge, guys. And you've got, and market capitalization on this market is $26 trillion. Now, I want you to, sometimes we underestimate how big this market is, but I just want to explain to you that when you talk about 2,700 companies, in Zimbabwe, we've got plus or minus 60 companies on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, like our own local exchange. It's got around 60 or so companies in there. You're talking about 2,700 companies across different industries. And we're talking about 26 trillion. The last time I checked, the market capitalization of all companies on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange here in Zim, I think it was hovering around $5 billion. That money, that value fluctuates because of the rate. But just compare 5 billion to a $26 trillion market. This is a huge market. Even our GDP is around 20 billion. We are not anywhere close to even $1 trillion in this nation. So this is how big the stock market is. So the New York stock market is the biggest. Then the second one, which we have in the US, is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, that's where you see a lot of those tech-driven companies listed there. It's the biggest in terms of number of companies listed. It's got 3,700 companies that are on that market, and its market capitalization is $19 trillion. Right now, I just want to pause here and say, go to the chat box and just type some of the companies that you know, which are US companies that are listed on these exchanges. So just want to have some kind of interaction here. So just go to the chat box and just type in any company that you know, which is listed in the US stock market. Right. Yes, I see the companies, Microsoft, Alphabet, Tesla, all those different sort of companies. Thank you, guys. I think so already I'm now very clear that these are the companies that you guys actually want to buy shares in, right? Which is quite exciting because, like I said, that is the point of this, to say you can actually buy shares in Facebook, which is now Meta. You can buy shares in Netflix. Some of you have got Netflix subscriptions, in Amazon, in Apple. Some of you have got iPhones. So I think we're at a time where it's not just about buying an iPhone, but also owning, participating in iPhone. So now the slide that I have now is a very important slide. What do you need to get started? And this slide is meant to demystify a lot of things, okay? Because people traditionally thought that the requirements for me to participate in this market, they are so onerous, they are so hard. It's a list of papers. Zimbabwe has got sanctions, and people have given me all kinds of reasons. But I'm just here to tell you guys, it's one of the simplest processes that you can ever do. Why? Because of financial innovation. Okay, so what you need is you need an account with a broker. They'll give you a laptop. Sorry, you'll need when you get an account with a broker. What you then need is a trading platform which is installed onto your phone or installed onto your laptop, or you can actually even trade or invest from the web. So already, I know, because you guys are joining us in this meeting, you already have got a smart device. So this is already a tick. You're in this meeting, joining from the internet, so you already have got internet access. So that's essentially the first thing that you're going to need. The second thing you need is a broker account. We're going to talk about, what are the options, because I think in terms of getting a broker who can give you access to that market, I think that's where the biggest obstacle is currently in Zim. And I'm going to talk about that in terms of how do you navigate and overcome that particular obstacle in terms of having a broker. But more importantly is you need the skill to be able to actually know how to actually do it. So you need to be able to say, should I invest, which companies I should invest in? Remember, we spoke about 3,700 companies. That's already overwhelming in itself. So you want to just make sure that you've got the knowledge and you've got the skill to be able to pick which in the market, when do you enter, when do you exit, things to do with that. So you can see from this list is there is no some of the requirements that some of you guys thought are so onerous, you don't see them there. Here I said you need capital. And I'm going to cover this in terms of the importance of capital and what are some of the key considerations when you begin to look at how much capital you're going to need. So let's walk through the process as I break it down even further. So the first thing that you need is a broker, okay? Now, in Zimbabwe, let me start by saying currently, Zimbabwe financial systems are so excluded to the world, okay? So we don't have a broker who is based in Zim where you can walk in and say, look, this is the broker that I use. I want to open an account. So the first thing that you realize is that your relationship with the broker is likely going to be an online relationship because there is no broker who is based in Zim, okay? Now, that's the first thing that I want to say with the broker. So there are a lot of brokers. Some of them are reputable brokers out there. But you'd find that some of the brokers are not going to open Zimbabwean accounts because of sanctions. So what this means is if you're trying to deal with reputable brokers from the US, you're trying to deal with reputable brokers from Australia, you're trying to deal with reputable brokers from the UK, they are some of those brokers are not gonna, they're just gonna tell you from Zimbabwe, no, we don't open accounts for you. So that's one of the major complications that you see, because you then see some of the brokers that are coming from particularly Eastern Europe and all these other countries, and you're not really sure whether my money and my investment is safe with them. Okay, but there are a lot of brokers now that that support Zimbabwe. One of the things that we have done even at Elchat is because I'm a trader, and it's one of the questions that I had to answer initially. So we had to look for which broker can I use where I know my money is safe, and we've got a relationship with a broker called Deriv. Some of you are familiar with Deriv. And a lot of Zimbabweans actually use Deriv. So we are an introducing broker for them as well as an affiliate. And I'm just going to ask Kero just to put a document in the chat, which I just go through. What are some of the brokers' considerations that you need to make if you're going to get the relationship with the broker? So the problem is, if you get most brokers will be quick to accept your money, but it comes at a time when you now want to withdraw the money that you start having problems with them. So you want to make sure that the broker you're going to be dealing with is a reputable broker. And like I said, I've done a document which just helps you in terms of how you can navigate that space. Then the next thing, when you've opened a broker account, obviously you need to make a deposit. So the deposit also allows you to, when you've made a deposit, is so that you can actually then buy the stocks that you want to buy. Now, like I said, the Zimbabwean system does not support investing or trading offshore. So you're not going to go to the auction and bid forex for this. It's not going to be one of the things that you're going to get forex for. So you need to use your own free funds for this particular purpose. Okay, so you're going to use your own. I think it's also, we're at an advantage because we're using the Zim dollar alongside the US dollar. So a lot of people have got access to US dollars as free funds. Right. So now so how then do you get your deposit to the broker? You've got $100 and you want to get this money to a broker. What then do you do? You then have to say, it's either I'm going to use my Visa cards or my MasterCards, or you can use online wallets, or there are many options that the broker is going to provide for you. This is where you're going to also get in other countries. Some of you are familiar with Skrill. Some of you are familiar with brokers, with Neteller. Those are also don't open. The challenge with using your Visa or MasterCards at times is when you now want your money back, your cards do not normally support a refund, or they do not support deposits from outside. So whilst it's easy to deposit using that card, most people then face the hurdle of saying, how do I withdraw the money with that? Now, as the Elchat as well, because of our relationship with Deriv, what we have been doing, what we're actually doing right now is to be able to facilitate people that have opened Deriv accounts with the withdrawals and deposits. So if you just walk into our office, we're able to do a deposit for you. If you now want your money back, you just come to our office and we're able to do a withdrawal for you. We're a payment agent with that respect. Right, so that's what we do in terms of opening the broker. So what documents are you going to need when you open the account with the broker? There's a certain level of so as long as you're going to be trading and the amount you're dealing with is still under $500,000, which is 500,000. You need an ID and you need a proof of residence, and then you need to verify identity. There is a process that they'll take you through where they need to know you are the actual person on this ID. So those are the requirements that are not too onerous, probably less onerous than what we have in this country. You obviously need to complete some online forms where you also do an assessment. You also don't need to be a politically exposed or connected person. So these are some of the basic requirements that they'll have. But the process is very simple. And look, as Elchat, we actually help people open these accounts on a daily basis. So we can actually assist you with that. Now you're good to go. You've got a broker, you've got a deposit, you've got $100 that's waiting. The next thing is, so what stocks am I going to buy? So the next thing is you need to be able to say, so one of the things, and it's very important there, is to be able to pick which stocks you're going to buy. Okay, so one of the starting point for me is developing a watch list, which is based on some of the companies, the brands that you're already exposed to. So trying to go through a list of 3,700 companies and pick companies is hard. So you always start from a point where you're saying, look, I already know Apple because I've seen their products. I already know Facebook. I already know Twitter. I already know, Ford. I already know. So you always start by a list of the companies that you know. So that's where I always, for me, that's where I always recommend that you start from. Maybe you end up with a list of 20 companies. So the next thing is that you now just want to be able to make sense and say, before you even do anything, do I think this is a brand for the future? Do I still think that this company is working hard enough towards the future? Okay, Facebook has just launched Meta. They're talking about the metaverse. Maybe you're a person who is really into this and you think, look, the future is metaverse. So you already say, I think Facebook is a good buy. Tesla, you're probably, you've read about Elon Musk and stuff like that. You're putting, that's how you don't think it's that other process where you need to know a lot. Start with the knowledge that you already have. Start with the brands that you're already exposed to. The next thing that you need to know before, now when you've gotten your list, you're happy with your companies, you know what they do, you have some level of confidence about where they're going. You then need to read what has been happening in these companies, which can point you towards whether it's a company that is strong going into the future. You might have missed out some news. So just Google them and just read some of the reports. Maybe you then come across that, look, Facebook is facing a whole lot of, accusations around privacy and things like that. And you're thinking, oh, maybe they still need to navigate this uphill before I can buy them. So that's how we are building up. It doesn't have to be a technical process. And I say this because, remember, guys, when you're talking about investment, you're talking about the company that you're investing should have very good long-term prospects, okay? So when you now have, done and you're confident with that, that's why I will then have to introduce you to look at how has been the performance of the share price over the past 3 years. And when you go into your trading platform, which you're provided with your broker, you can actually see the trend that you've seen over the past 3 years. So you go back and you say in 2019, what was the starting share price? What was the closing share price? What was the gain in the share? 2020, 2021, what is the year to date? And if you're very happy and you're saying, wow, it seems like to be making progress, that's all you need. And you can actually, if you're not happy, maybe not so much. So that's the process that I actually go through in order developing a watch list. The other technical aspects that I also then do personally for me is then to look at what is the best time to be getting in. Sometimes I'm then just watching the share price, waiting for it to retrace, especially if it's on a rally, just waiting for it to come down so that I can also enter at a lower price. Look, we've got, and I think we're going to talk about that, where we've got a comprehensive course that obviously gets into all those nitty-gritties in terms of also what are some of the tools, technical analysis tools, which you can actually use to analyze the price chart. I think once you are happy with the company, the next decision is what is the best entry price for this particular company, right? That's where technical analysis then comes to say, look, you don't want to buy when a company has been on a rally for the past month because there's a high chance that it's going to do a retracement. So you want to wait for that retracement so that you can also get in at a much lower price. So that's what I then do. So now, when you then talk about then the advantage again, when you're talking about global markets, especially for shares, is that as long as the market is open, when you then trade and invest, it's instant. Okay. When I say it's instant, I'm saying you put your order at the click of a button, right? That's how fast it is. You exit at the click of a button. That's why a lot of people that you've got people that I don't do for stocks, I don't do short-term trading. A lot of people sometimes can actually do short-term trading where they're in and out of positions in a day because the trading is so fast, the investing is so fast. You can get in by the click of a button. So that is one of the advantages there. Now, I want to deal with, I'm running out of time because we want to accommodate some questions, but I want to deal with leverage. Guys, I'll tell you what, if you've listened to Robert Kiyosaki, he says, look, cash flow and leverage are two of the most important financial terms that you can ever learn. And I'll tell you, when you're coming to investing in stocks and trading, especially the way that I'm showing you, it's one of the biggest plus that I love is the power of leverage, okay? But leverage is obviously a double-edged sword. Another term for leverage, because sometimes some people find this a bit technical, is debt. So essentially you're using debt. So I want to show you, this is what I do. And a lot of people don't believe that this is possible. I use a leverage of 4x on, because I do for stocks. I use a leverage of 2x on crypto because I do stocks and crypto as well. So what does this mean? So this allows you, because one of the things that people have asked me, look, the current Facebook share is around $320, right? Which for people say, do I need to have $320 just to buy one share? So that's where leverage comes in, okay? So what it essentially means is, if I'm using a leverage of 4x, is that for every dollar I have, I can buy shares worth $4, okay? So for every dollar I have, I can buy shares worth what? With $4, which means with $100, I can actually buy, with $100, I can actually buy shares worth $400, okay? Now, I know some of you are beginning to wonder, how does this happen? I'm saying, if you've asked any person who has gotten into trading and investing in the markets, brokers give you leverage, okay? So what that does is, number one, I'm able to participate in stocks that ordinarily were too high for me, okay? So you'll see that, for example, the platform that I use, it doesn't allow me to buy fraction of shares. So the minimum share I have to buy is one share. So if you want to buy Tesla shares, I think over the past 2 or so weeks, it's just gone past $1,000, right? So which means you need to, if you're going to buy one shares, you need to at least have $1,000. But using 4x, it means for $1,000, I need at least maybe $200 to $250 for me to participate in this share. So what it means is, I don't need all the money for me to be able to buy the shares. That's how leverage works, and it's available to you. And then this is what happens. Now, I take a share, I put $100, and I buy a share worth $400. I just want to demonstrate something to you here. Let's say the share price doubles to 800, okay? Well, it's rare that it's going to double, but let's say it's doubles. What it means is your movement there is 100%, which is $400. That is your profit. But when you consider that the fact that you only had put 100 and you've gotten $400 back, this is actually 400%. So leverage is able to multiply your returns significantly. So it's one of the things that I love about the stock market. When I'm buying crypto, when I'm buying this, I use leverage. But look at it from this way. I use 4x and 2x, and this is very conservative because there are people that actually use much higher leverage. And look, I know we don't have time to really get into this, but leverage is one of the things that you probably love about this market, which allows you to participate with higher, for higher value. I'm saying on this market, there is obviously high liquidity, which means even when you want to exit, it's at the click of a button and you can exit. Also, the advantage is the issue around using where you can limit your losses. If the share price has gone up, you can actually limit your losses so that if the share price comes down, you are automatically taken out so that you don't continue to increase your losses. So there's a lot, ladies and gentlemen, that I could talk about. Right, but look, I think it's important to then say some of it. It's in what we are about to introduce to you, where I really go into this thing in much more detail.